Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I wanted to talk to you guys about something that stood out in the last manga chapter, which you can read the official chapter for free on Shueisha's Manga Plus app and Viz Media's Shonen Jump app. And the review for the chapter is already up on the channel with the best editor for the channel having edited the review and the quality being 6 past Sage Mode levels of peak. So make sure you check out the review if you haven't already, because my editor don't brag often, but he told me days in advance this was the best edit he's done for a chapter review, and he was not lying. And much appreciation to all the people over on Patreon who helped pay for that video. That's what I mean when I say that certain videos are going to have higher priority with editing than others. The quality on that review is an absolute 10 out of 10, and the patrons made it possible. However, today I want to bring up something that grabbed my attention in the chapter, which is the fact that the story has once again hinted at the possibility of Boruto possessing mastery of more of Momoshiki's power than we realize, and in particular the ability to see the future. And this is something that absolutely changes everything. From the moment when we learned that the true mastery of karma was not getting just the power boost that comes from using karma, but also the abilities and experience of the Utsuki that they gain access to when they reach true mastery. While we've seen Kawaki pretty much tap into Ishiki's power at a much faster rate once he reawakened the karma seal, with him now having Ishiki's full dojutsu formulated at his disposal, we have only seen glimpses of Boruto in possession of mastery of Momoshiki's power. And in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, we haven't even seen Boruto use karma or Utsuki powers at all. But Boruto's situation is different than Kawaki's, and is worth looking at before we go into the whole idea of Boruto having seen the future. The moment that Boruto was brought back to life by Momoshiki, everything changed. We were in unprecedented, uncharted territories. Everyone from Amato to Momoshiki said it themselves, and we saw the two of them and they're interacting more as their souls continue to merge together, first with their thoughts intertwining, and eventually we saw Boruto tap into Momoshiki's Byakugan ability to see into the future itself, which showed him fragmented glimpses of the future, snapshots of the future that was waiting for him in the days ahead. And most of what we saw, it ended up coming true. However, at the time, he had no context behind what it was he was seeing, only that he himself had seen it, and that after omnipotence happened, Momoshiki was smirking and gaslighting and telling him that everything that he saw before, it was happening. What it did was let us know that whereas Boruto saw snapshots, Momoshiki at the very least was able to see a lot more when he used that power. Not the full picture, but he saw considerably more than Boruto. This is likely a Shinjutsu, and it wasn't a play-by-play with full context, and there were certain limitations, like he clearly saw Kurama's death, but he didn't see his own death coming at the hands of Boruto. And as we saw at Boruto, the future can be changed regardless as to what's shown. Momoshiki, he saw Ada's Senrigan. He told Boruto those blue eyes would take everything away from you. He said that he saw Boruto losing everything, that he saw him falling into despair, and he saw a future where Momoshiki was the one controlling Boruto's body. Because again, as a reminder, because there's still people who are confused, Momoshiki can't resurrect inside of Boruto's body, but what he can do is hijack his body. That is still a issue at the hands of Boruto, as we were told by Amato after he checked out Boruto's body after Momoshiki revived him. What he didn't see, however, was a future in which Boruto overcame that despair and didn't give in to what Momoshiki was planning, where Boruto would lose the will to live and Momoshiki would take over. And so we know that things, they aren't always set in stone, because the future itself, it's always changing based on decisions that are made. Tomorrow I might go out and run into my future wife. I might start that relationship, but if today I go rob a bank and I kill someone, I'm gonna get killed because I'm in a state with the death penalty, which means my future changed. It's the same thing. Well, since Boruto has been back in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, we saw him telling Code that he didn't know the horrors that were coming if he didn't destroy the Ten Tails right now when he had the chance to do so. Boruto, he was a man on a mission. He was playing no games here, which means he knew what was coming with these evolved Shinju because he'd already seen snapshots of it. It was likely that fragmented snapshot of the future, one where he's literally warning Code, the worst possible future is coming if he doesn't destroy the claw grimes and the 10 tails now. Then when we look back at the last chapter, when Boruto is explaining everything to Shikamaru, the moment that Boruto finishes laying out everything, Shikamaru was written as saying that he wanted to know how much Boruto knows, because he wasn't talking about pure hypotheticals here. Boruto was talking like someone who was giving a review that already basically gives away how the story ends, except he's keeping some of the key details to himself. Just like he gave off those same vibes when he told Kawaki that, hey, dying in Konoha, it doesn't sound too bad, but I won't be dying here today. Boruto has seen some stuff. Boruto, when he was asked by Shikamaru how much he knew, he doesn't respond and he doesn't show any visible reaction. He has a poker face now. He's come a long way since the day when he first used that power, and Ada clocked right away that something had spooked Boruto, and she stood up all night thinking, as did Boruto stay up all night scared out of his mind. I think we're seeing signs that Boruto has some fragmented ideas of what is coming in the future, but not the whole picture, but also the fact that he's living proof that in the future things can change. He's careful with the information that he's given out, likely because of that reason, to avoid someone making the mistake that makes the entire outcome worse than it was originally in his vision. It's the same way that Momoshiki made a mistake by trying to gaslight Boruto continuously instead of just sitting back and letting Boruto fall into despair on his own, because everything was there. All he had to do was sit there and let it happen after he told Boruto, hey, your life is switched with Kawaki, everybody you know's trying to kill you. If he said nothing else, Boruto probably would have fallen into despair. However, all that back and forth and banter with Boruto, all it did was harden the resolve of Boruto. Like when Boruto went from panicking when Team 10 was trying to kill him, when Mitsuki was trying to kill him, to flashing that stubborn temper of his father and his grandmother Kushina when he refused to give Momoshiki control and so he could kill Team 10. It gave Boruto something to latch on to without Momoshiki realizing it, because Boruto's protective of his friends, and it altered the future that he saw because Boruto no longer had the option to fall into despair. He had to hold on to the hope that he could reverse things, because as Naruto told Boruto in chapter 700 of Naruto, a shinobi's job and duty is to endure. And what we're seeing here is that Boruto had already made that mind up right then and there to endure, because you can tell that was the moment that Momoshiki saw he was going to get control and he was trying to hedge his bets. But sometimes you can overplay your hand in a game of poker, because otherwise he wouldn't have been so pissed off when Sasuke showed up saving him and losing his mind when Boruto was being helped by Sasuke and comforted by Sasuke, because he was getting hope, because he saw his opportunity. If it hadn't sailed away, it was completely gone by that moment. And Boruto called him on it, saying, hey, you sure are panicking right now. Well, it's possible that Boruto, because he has access to all of Momoshiki's thoughts, which means everything Momoshiki was thinking, Boruto would have been able to hear it as well. Assuming that the connection grew stronger, the idea of Momoshiki unintentionally giving him information, it can't be ruled out either. The idea of Boruto having some more control over this power, and Kashin Koji's words about the next thing that they need to do is prepare to fight, which means Kashin Koji might have been clued in more on what it is that Boruto's seen, and it would explain the reason that they are working together, because just as we didn't get an answer right away as to what happened with Sasuke, why he was absent until 5 chapters into the story, it might take more time for us to learn about Boruto's connection to Kashin Koji. It explains why Boruto left as quickly as he did. Not that he was ducking Kawaki, but that he now explained what he needed by informing Shikamaru about what's coming, and any battle with Kawaki and Boruto right now, it is a side quest. Having Boruto see more of the future adds more layers to the whole losing everything scenario, because it's something continual, and it makes the obstacles of rebuilding Boruto's connection to others, it makes Boruto a more sympathetic character to root for, because it continues the whole concept of people, they love to root for an underdog. It's like how in wrestling, people care more about the chase of the title and not the championship reign itself. And having Boruto trying to alter a future that appears to be more and more set in stone, while continuously trying to back the bill of the relationships that he lost due to omnipotence, that in of itself has the makings of a comeback story that locks down Boruto's character for the better, and it adds to the dynamic between the two characters from Japanese history that Boruto and Kawaki's current characters they're based off of. Long ago, there was a story of a prince who was sent into exile from his kingdom, and was being hunted down by an outsider who killed his father, the king, and forced that prince into hiding. Said prince slowly built up his forces and reclaimed what was rightfully his by returning to the kingdom and killing the outsider, taken in by his family, who forced him out. Throughout Naruto's 72-volume run in manga format, we saw Masashi Kishimoto mix and match stories, Japanese folklore, Asian folklore, Japanese mythology, Asian mythology, Japanese religion, Asian religion, Japanese history, Asian history, when he started creating arcs and coming up with character designs and coming up with character jutsu and interactions, and in some cases he outright reversed characters in order to add his own personal spin to it. The idea that something similar is happening right now with Boruto, a sequel to Naruto, it's not something that I think we can turn our nose up at, saying that it's not a possibility. In fact, I think the story of the Minamoto clan and the Japanese warrior Kagemasa might be something that we have to consider stronger, because look at what we have, especially the part with Boruto having the ability to see the fragmented snapshots of the future regarding the Shinju, assuming that proves to be correct, which all signs point towards, again, the worst possible outcome. Boruto saw something, and Shikamaru is suspecting the same thing. Boruto, like Momoshiki, just can't see the specifics as to how we get there. Otherwise, Momoshiki would have known Kawaki was going to kill him. Kagemasa lost an eye in battle, just as Boruto lost an eye in battle. Kagemasa in the Boruto anime had a special eye with special powers, and Boruto has a special eye with special powers, regardless as to if you're saying Jogan, 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 or Byakugan, Byakugan, Byakugan. It's a special eye with special powers. During that time period, you had Kagekiyo adopted into the royal family and tried to take out the head of the Minamoto clan and his heir. Look at the names, Minamoto. That should remind you of Minato Namikaze. Not a coincidence, just as Masashi Kishimoto named Hagoromo's sons Astra and Indra, but then he flipped everything we knew associated with those names by making them the opposites for the sons themselves. Boruto is the heir that was driven into exile and almost killed, and Kawaki is Kagekiyo. Kagekiyo continuously kept trying to hunt down the heir of the Minamoto clan and have him killed, because he was a loose end. Guess what Kawaki's trying to do? He's trying to hunt down Boruto and have him killed, because Boruto is a loose end. Granted, Boruto's also a threat, but the two things are one and the same. When you add in Boruto seeing this darker future, the worst possible outcome, that explains what this twist in the story is. Boruto isn't the Minamoto clan's son coming home with an army to retake his kingdom. He is the son who was first trying to save the very people who turned their backs on him due to omnipotence taking them away from him. And then once the Shinju threat has been resolved, taking on Kawaki, it is something that gets elevated from a side quest to being a real threat to resolve. Swap out the army being raised for revenge with Boruto regaining the loved ones omnipotence took from him, and you can see how things are lining up. Because again, it's not uncommon to have Kishimoto reverse things, but having Boruto being weighed down by the future he saw with the Shinjutsu that he has, and seeing the Shinju cause the worst possible outcome, a future that might affect people like Sarada, who Boruto was charged with protecting. It's something that is worth exploring. Just like the chapter review for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex is worth exploring, because when I say the editor cooked on this one, he ain't just cooked. He cooked and left a recipe book behind.